Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to our next day's Readers Workshop lesson. Today, we're going to go back and review main idea in nonfiction text. And boys and girls, us teachers have been looking at your SeeSaw work, and we're so proud at all the hard work you're putting into doing the reading and the writing. We want to give you some feedback, so we're going to do this lesson with more specific details so we can support you to be successful and get that 3 and 4. So the idea of main idea, the reason why we want to talk about main idea is because it's really important to know what the author is trying to teach you or tell you on a certain page. Now, there's so many different pages in nonfiction text, so I wanted to take one page and really look at it and explore how we can really get information from one page and really understand what the author is teaching us. So we're looking at the sun text again. And today we're going to be talking about how we can find the main idea by reading the very first sentence in a paragraph. And in this text, they're not really in paragraphs, but they're in chunks of writing. And so every nonfiction textbook has a different way they're going to organize their text. And this is how the author chose to organize his text. And so we're going to read this sentence right here. It says, "We can send probes to the sun." And I already know in my head that this page is going to be about probes because the author wants to organize, just like when we tell you as writers to really organize your writing, authors organize their writing so the readers can understand it better. So now we know that this whole page and also the page next to it is going to be about probes. So I'm going to read it out loud, and I'm going to give our teachers some time to think about what details they learned from the text. And actually, before I start, let me go back to this is the worksheet you're going to be completing, or the graphic organizer, I mean. And I know this sounds kind of weird, but we're going to start with main idea because I already gave you a hint. It's always, most of the time, in the first sentence of a page. So I'm going to write that with a text box. And we want to remind our writers that we want to write in our own words. So actually, maybe we can have the teacher, one of the teachers, tell me how we can rewrite this idea that we can send probes to the sun. What could be a sentence I could use to explain the main idea? Ms. Rosales?
We can say probes are sent to the sun.
Ooh,
Or to,
probes are sent to
yeah.
the sun. I like that. And I love how Ms. Rosales is writing in a complete sentence. We want to make sure our capital letter is in the beginning of our sentence and there's a punctuation mark to end. That way I know your complete idea. We've noticed some friends have been writing moon, and I'm like, what about the moon is the main idea? We want to be specific. We're not just talking about the sun, we're talking about how probes are sent to the sun. So that's our main idea. And then we're going to go back and see, can we find 3 details that support information of our main idea? So I'm going to read the text and give our teachers and you some time to think about what details we should include in our graphic organizer. We can send probes to the sun. They will get close. They will get data. They will send it back to Earth. We can study it. We can learn. So take some time to think about the information you just read. And remember, we were using our skill yesterday. When we're gathering facts, we're also gathering new information, but also information that's important to help us understand what probes are. So teachers, when you're ready with the sentence in detail, you can give me a thumbs up. And it's okay to reread the text. I do that all the time. Ms. Rosales?
I was going to say probes gather information.
Ooh, I like that. And again, I love that it's in a complete sentence. Probes gather information. And boys and girls, you can be brave spellers. It's okay if you spell something wrong, as long as you're sounding it out. I can understand, all our teachers can understand what you're trying to say. Ms. Akimowicz, do you have a thought?
Yes, I agree with Ms. Rosales. I put that probes collect data, but then I also put that scientists study the data. I know it says we, but I know that scientists are the ones who study it. So I just added scientists study the data or data.
I love that you combine your prior knowledge with new information, because readers, we always do that. So scientists Study the data.
Mhm.
Okay. Or data. Either way, you can say it either way. And again, love that they're in complete sentences with a capital letter and punctuation at the end. And let's think of one more detail. What else is important to support that we send probes to the sun? Ms. Rosales?
So can we go back so that I can see it?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, study the data. Well, I was looking at the first sentence where it says they get close.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to our sentence, we might say probes are a safe way to, what's our safe way? I need some help, Miss Yakimowicz.
Our safe way to
Maybe bring back or
gather, I was going to say to gather information, but how about to learn from the sun? Probes are a
Ooh,
safe way to learn about the sun.
love it.
I love the teamwork and the revision because we're thinking about our sentences, and you might need to be doing that at home as well. It doesn't just come out all of a sudden. Us teachers don't just come up with sentences. We're thinking about the most specific and clear way to explain something that we're learning. And so I love that Ms. Rosales said it's a safe way because we know we can't get close to the sun or else we wouldn't survive. It's too hot. And so probes are a safe way to learn about the sun. And Ms. Akimowicz gathered that from the last sentence and how we can learn. So we can use two sentences and put those ideas together to come up with another detail. So as you can see, boys and girls, all three details, if we read it again, help us understand the main idea, which is probes are sent to the sun. And why? Because we know probes gather information and scientists study that information or that data. And probes are a safe way to learn about the sun because we know we can't do it ourselves. So we're going to be putting in another graphic organizer for you to try with a text. And again, we always read the text first. And we can start with the main idea. The main idea is in the first sentence, usually, most of the time. Authors like to make it easy for you. And then read all the details to see what supports that main idea. Thank you for joining us today. We're looking forward to reading your responses. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe.